Hello all and welcome to another Cabinet Entertainment video. It's Art here with a video that has been a long time coming. Pardon me while I readjust here for a second. This was spurred on to me by a comment from Mr. WookieSack. Thank you, Mr. WookieSack, for making this comment. He asked me, how do I read so many books at once? How do I keep them all straight in my head? He is not the first person to ask me this. He is the one, however, though, that said to me, that made me think that it was the right time to make this content. So there's two ways I look at this. There are two ways I look at this. I look at this I can separate them by physical media, meaning I can read a physical book, I can read an ebook or an audiobook, or I can separate them by genre, meaning I can have a cozy mystery, a police procedural, a science fiction, a Star Wars, and a Star Trek, and I can keep them all separate. So how do I do all this? Well, first of all, the first three should be the most easiest to see how that's done, and that is physical medium. Depending on which book I pick up, it's the book that I'm reading, and I can keep them all separate. Plus, it's also a little bit of how my brain works, because I can file away different plots and stories, and I don't crisscross them. But the one thing I do make sure that I do is I don't read too many books that are close to one another. Which meaning, I'll give an example. I don't read two Star Trek series at the same time, because that can cause crossing the streams in Ghostbusters terms. But I will read books that are wholly separate from one another. Like I can read hard sci-fi, like I am right now, in Critical Mass, and still read Death on the Nile. Completely, totally different genres. I can read a non-fiction book and then go and read fiction. There are several ways it can be done. It's just how you have to remember not to make the genres too close, and you have to also do it in a way that you won't get confused. And whether that's 2 or 3 for you, or as many as at times has been as many as 6 for me, it just depends. Like I said, the physical mediums help. Reading a physical book, an ebook, and having an audiobook really helps delineate which is which. Having them be in different genres, like fuel fiction or high fantasy and science fiction, you're not going to cross those two stories. If you do it right, you're just not. So when you read multiple books, you have to do it in such a way that you're not going to cross genres, and you're not going to confuse yourself. Because the worst thing you can do is confuse yourself. You don't want to ever confuse yourself. That would defeat the purpose of reading multiple books at once. So, like, I would never read 2 James Bond books at the same time. I would never have a James Bond graphic novel and a James Bond novel going at the same time, because I could easily get those two confused. I would never have 2 Star Trek series or 2 Star Wars series going at the same time. It just would never happen. But if you can do police procedural, non-fiction, hard sci-fi, Star Wars, and Star Trek, and keep them separate, which, believe me, they are separate. So if you can keep them separate, then you can read multiple books at once. It's not hard. It's how you get your multiple books done. I often did it in school. I'll give you another example of when I went through grade school, high school, and college. I would have books that I'm reading for school that were usually dull and ugh. And then I would have books I was reading for fun to get away from those dull, dry, textbook-like reads. There was one class I took in high school, my senior year of high school, that it was English, and it was reading science fiction and high fantasy and other works of fiction. Now that was actually a fun read, and a lot of what that class read, I had already read on my own, so I got to lead discussions in that class a lot. I got to deep dive on some of my favorite works. It's when you read multiple books, you want to compartmentalize what you're reading. I'm not the only one that does it. My grandmother did it. My mother does it. It seems to be a skill that runs in my family of readers, and it's a skill that I just picked up. Because sometimes I may not feel like reading a police procedural that night. I may want to go to space with Star Trek that night. Or I may want to save the world with James Bond that night. Or go into medieval times and read a high fantasy. So it's about keeping them compartmentalized. It's about making sure that each book is a wholly separate genre that you can keep separate and keep up to speed. That's what it's about, guys. That's literally what it's about. And that's how I do it. If you'd like any more tips, I can make another video and go into super detailed. Because I do actually keep a spreadsheet with what I'm reading and all that. It's actually, I should have brought my notebook over here. I have a reading notebook for it, but I didn't bring it with me. But if you would like me to go into a deeper dive, and once again, thanks to Mr WookieSack for the comment. This is not calling you out. This is just, I get this comment a lot, so I thought I'd make it into a video and let you guys enjoy my thought process. But that's exactly how I do it. Absolutely exactly how I do it. I understand people that say, I can only read one or two at a time. I get that. And if that's what you can do, that's what you can do. As long as you're having an occasion with the written word or the spoken word, if you're using audiobooks, that's all I care about, is that we're all reading on this channel. Because reading, a reader lives 1,000 lives, while a person who doesn't read lives one, is paraphrasing what George R.R. Martin said, and I fervently believe in that saying myself. As long as you're reading, that's all that matters. I can read multiple books. Matter of fact, I'm going to get back to reading right now. So if you'll pardon me, this is what I'm going to say. If you have any questions or would like to see a more deep dive video on this, I'd be more than happy to do it. You got to let me know that in the comments down below, though. If you also read multiple books, let me know that in the comments down below. But until next time, you know I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, and 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. Please ding the notification bell to be notified when I upload a video. And until next time, happy reading. I'll see you again soon. Hopefully you read more books than one. I'll see you again soon. And peace.